Listen, the difference between the people who succeed and the ones who don't comes down to one thing: how they control their emotions. Emotions are not just feelings. They are the driving force behind every decision, every success, and every failure. If you don't control your emotions, you don't control your life. Most people wake up every day and let their emotions dictate their actions. They feel lazy, so they don't go to the gym. They feel unmotivated, so they don't work. They feel insecure, so they don't take the necessary risks to improve. That's weakness. That's the mindset of someone who's losing at life. Winners don't function that way. Winners decide how they feel, and then they act accordingly. You see, most people think their emotions just happen to them, like they're victims of their own minds. Your emotions are not random. They are a response to your habits, your environment, and most importantly, your mindset. If you wake up every day and flood your mind with weak thoughts, if you let fear, doubt, and insecurity take over, of course, you're going to feel like you can't do anything. But if you wake up with the mindset that nothing can stop you, that you are built for greatness, that you are a force of nature, then nothing can shake you. This is what separates men from boys, winners from losers. It's the ability to look at a situation no matter how hard and say, I decide how I feel. I decide what happens next. People always ask, how do you stay motivated? I don't. Motivation is for the weak. Motivation is an illusion. There are days when I don't feel like doing anything, but guess what? I do it anyway. Discipline is what separates the elite from the average. You think the strongest men in history woke up every day feeling inspired? No, they woke up and did what needed to be done regardless of how they felt. That's what makes them different. That's what makes them powerful. Emotions are a tool. They can work for you or against you. If you don't take control, they will control you. And once you're controlled by your emotions, you become weak, you become reactive, you become a puppet to the world around you. You think a man who gets emotional at every inconvenience is in control? No. He's at the mercy of his feelings. The world does something to him and he reacts. That's not power. Power is being completely unshakable no matter what happens. Every time you make a decision, it's based on two things: pain or pleasure. That's it. That's what drives human nature. Every action, every choice, every move you make is either to gain pleasure or avoid pain. And here's where most people get it wrong. They chase short-term pleasure and avoid short-term pain, even if it destroys their long-term future. That's why people stay broke. That's why people stay weak. That's why people stay in terrible relationships, because they prioritize comfort over strength. They avoid the pain of hard work, so they stay out of shape. They avoid the pain of discipline, so they remain failures. They avoid the pain of rejection, so they never take a risk. And then they wonder why they're stuck in the same place year after year. The truth is, pain is your best friend. Pain is what forces you to change. Every time you feel pain, it's a signal that something is wrong, that something in your life needs to be fixed. Weak people run from pain. Strong men embrace it. If you're broke and it hurts, good. That means you need to do something about it. If you're weak and it bothers you, good. That means you need to get stronger. Every great man you admire, every champion, every leader, every warrior, do you think they had it easy? No. They suffered more than anyone else. But instead of running from it, they used that pain to fuel them. They didn't let it break them. They let it make them. Pain is unavoidable. You will suffer in life no matter what you do, but you have two choices. You can suffer now and build the life you want, or you can avoid suffering now and guarantee suffering later. That's it. That's the deal. There is no third option. People say, I don't want to sacrifice my comfort. Then you've already lost. Because the man who is willing to go through hell now will build himself an empire. The man who wants to stay comfortable will always be at the mercy of those who are willing to suffer. Look at the most powerful men in history. They weren't the ones who ran from pain. They were the ones who embraced it. They were the ones who pushed through when everyone else quit. That's why they stand at the top, while the weak complain about how hard life is. Life is hard. No one cares. Get stronger. Every time you push through discomfort, every time you force yourself to do something you don't feel like doing, you become more powerful. You train yourself to handle pressure, to withstand hardship, to dominate. That's how you win. That's how you succeed. You want to be rich? You want to be powerful? You want to be respected? Then stop running from the hard things. Run towards them. Because the man who can suffer the most without breaking is the man who will always come out on top. Listen, everything you do, everything you achieve, everything you are, it all comes down to one thing: who you believe you are. Your identity is the foundation of your success or your failure. If you see yourself as weak, as incapable, as average, then that's exactly what you will be. If you see yourself as a champion, as a winner, as someone who cannot be broken, then that's exactly what you will become. Most people don't even realize that they've been programmed since birth to accept mediocrity. They've been told by their parents, by their teachers, by society, just be normal, just get a safe job, don't take risks, don't push too hard. And then they wonder why they're stuck in the same miserable life as everyone else. If you accept a weak identity, if you identify as someone who isn't capable of greatness, then you will never achieve it. You will always act in accordance with who you believe you are. That's why losers stay losers, because they refuse to change how they see themselves. The mind is powerful. If you tell yourself, I am not the kind of person who quits, then quitting is no longer an option. If you tell yourself, I am the kind of man who does whatever it takes, then nothing can stop you. Your actions will always align with your identity. That's why discipline isn't even difficult for me. It's just who I am. I don't wake up and think, should I work out today? No, I work out because I'm a man who trains every day. I don't wake up and ask, should I work on my business today? No, because I'm a man who is always getting richer. I don't give myself an option. And that's the difference between winners and losers. Losers give themselves an option to be weak. Every time you make an excuse, every time you justify failure, you are reinforcing a weak identity. And the more you do it, the harder it becomes to break out of it. If you wake up late, if you skip the gym, if you avoid difficult tasks, you are telling yourself, this is who I am. I am undisciplined. I am lazy. I am weak. And that identity becomes your prison. But if you wake up early, if you push yourself when you don't feel like it, if you do the work no matter what, then you are reinforcing the identity of a warrior, a machine, a man who gets things done. And once you build that identity, nothing can break you. Everything in life starts with a decision. And most people never make a real decision. They live their lives in maybe. They say, maybe I'll start a business one day. Maybe I'll get in shape. Maybe I'll make a change. And then they wonder why nothing ever happens. Because maybe is the language of the weak. There is no power in maybe. There is only power in decision. And decision means cutting off all other options. When I decide something, it's final. There's no second guessing, no hesitation, no retreat. I burn the boats. There is no way back. And that's why I always win, because my decisions are absolute. Weak men hesitate. Weak men wait for the right time. Weak men look for motivation, and that's why they fail. Success is simple. It's just a matter of deciding that you will win and then doing whatever it takes. The problem is most people don't actually decide. They like the idea of success. They fantasize about success, but they never make the real commitment. Because a real decision requires sacrifice. It requires you to let go of who you were and become someone new. And most people are too afraid to do that. They're too comfortable with their old selves, even if their old selves are losers. That's why most people will never change, because change requires pain. Change requires breaking yourself down and rebuilding from scratch. But if you truly want to be great, if you truly want to be powerful, then you have to make the decision that nothing will stop you, not your emotions, not your circumstances, not other people's opinions. Once you decide that, once you truly commit, then success is inevitable. Because when you refuse to quit, when you refuse to fail, when you refuse to accept anything less than what you want, the universe has no choice but to give it to you. The events in your life don't define you. What defines you is the meaning you give to them. Two people can go through the exact same experience. One will use it as fuel to grow, and the other will let it destroy them. Why? Because it's never the event itself that determines your destiny. It's how you interpret it. The meaning you attach to anything in your life will dictate the quality of your emotions, your actions, and ultimately your future. Most people don't realize how much power they have over their lives because they think they're reacting to reality when in fact they're reacting to the story they tell themselves about reality. Someone gets fired from their job. One person says, "This is the worst thing that ever happened to me. I'll never recover. And another person says, this is my chance to start that business I've always dreamed of. Same event, completely different outcome. Not because of luck, not because of circumstances, but because of the meaning they chose to give it. If you want to change your life, the first thing you have to do is change the meaning you give to the things that happen to you. Every challenge, every setback, every moment of pain, it's either the reason you give up or the reason you push harder. And you get to decide which one it will be. The people who succeed at the highest level aren't the ones who avoid pain. They're the ones who turn their pain into power. They reframe their struggles as fuel. They take the worst moments of their lives and use them as leverage to create something greater. Look at the most successful people in history. They all have a story of struggle. They all faced moments where it would have been easy to quit. But instead of letting those moments define them in a negative way, they decided to assign a different meaning to them. They decided, this isn't happening to me, this is happening for me. That single shift in mindset is what separates those who rise from those who fall. And this isn't just about major life events, it's about the small everyday challenges too. How many times do people get frustrated over little things? Traffic, a rude comment, a bad day at work. They let these tiny events control their mood, ruin their day, drain their energy. But what if instead of reacting emotionally, they chose to see every challenge as an opportunity? What if they saw every obstacle as a chance to grow stronger? Because that's the truth. Life is happening for you, not to you. Everything you go through is shaping you. Every difficulty is preparing you for something greater. You have to take control of the meaning. You have to decide that no matter what happens, you will find a way to use it. You will find a way to make it serve you. The moment you take that level of control over your mind, your life will never be the same again. Your emotions don't just happen to you. Your emotions are created by your actions. And one of the fastest ways to shift how you feel is through your body. People think their mind controls their body, but in reality, it works both ways. Your physiology, how you move, how you breathe, how you use your body has a direct impact on your emotions. Think about it. How does a depressed person stand? Shoulders slumped, breathing shallow, face down. How does a confident person stand? Shoulders back, chest up, deep breath, strong movement. It's not just that the confident person feels better and therefore moves differently. It's also that moving differently creates confidence. If you change your physiology, you change your state. Most people don't realize this. They wake up tired, sluggish, uninspired, and they stay in that state because they don't move. They sit all day, they breathe shallow, they barely use their body, and then they wonder why they feel stuck. But the fastest way to shift your emotions isn't to think differently, it's to move differently. Try it right now. Stand up tall, take a deep breath, put a huge smile on your face, and move with energy. Instantly, your body sends a signal to your brain that you're in a different state. And when your state changes, your emotions change. This is why peak performers in every field use their bodies to create energy. Athletes jump up and down before a game. Musicians move with intensity before a performance. Public speakers use their whole body when they talk. They know that motion creates emotion. If you want to feel unstoppable, move like someone who is unstoppable. If you want to feel powerful, breathe like someone who is powerful. Use your body as a tool to shift your emotions instantly. And this isn't just about feeling good, it's about controlling your state so you can perform at your best. How many times have you needed to get something done, but you felt tired or unmotivated? Instead of sitting there trying to force yourself to feel better, use your body, stand up, jump around, take deep breaths, shout if you have to. Change your physiology, and your mind will follow. This is why the most successful people in the world have rituals that involve movement. They don't just sit and wait for motivation. They create it. They use their body to generate energy. And when you learn to master this, you'll never have to rely on willpower again. Because when you control your state, you control your life. Gratitude is the single most powerful force that can shift your emotions, your mindset, and your entire life. Most people spend their time focusing on what they don't have, on what's missing, on what's wrong. And when you live in that state, you are constantly reinforcing a feeling of lack, a feeling of frustration, a feeling that nothing is ever enough. But the moment you switch your focus to gratitude, everything changes because you cannot be fearful and grateful at the same time. You cannot be angry and grateful at the same time. You cannot feel weak while feeling deeply grateful for everything you have. The biggest lie people believe is that happiness comes from getting more. They think, if I just had more money, if I just had a better body, if I just had a perfect relationship, then I'd finally be happy. But happiness is not something you get. It's something you create. There are people with nothing who wake up every day feeling alive, feeling blessed, feeling powerful. And there are people with everything, money, fame, success, who wake up miserable. What's the difference? It's not their circumstances. It's the meaning they give to their life. And that meaning comes from gratitude. If you want to shift your emotions instantly, focus on what you have instead of what you lack. Close your eyes and think about the moments in your life that you are most grateful for. Think about the people you love. Think about the fact that you have breath in your lungs, that you have opportunities in front of you, that you have the ability to grow, to improve, to create something incredible. The moment you shift into gratitude, fear disappears, because fear is rooted in the idea that something is missing, that something bad is coming. But when you are deeply grateful, you realize that you already have everything you need. This is not just about feeling good. Gratitude is a strategy for power. When you live in gratitude, you approach life differently. Instead of complaining about what's wrong, you start seeing opportunities. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by challenges, you start seeing them as gifts. Every struggle, every setback, every painful moment, if you can find a way to be grateful for it, you turn it into fuel. You take control, because nothing can break a person who is truly grateful for everything in their life. The most successful people in the world, the ones who truly feel fulfilled, don't live in a state of lack. They live in a state of appreciation. They train themselves to wake up every day and focus on what's good, on what's possible, on what they can give rather than what they can take. And that is the secret. Gratitude is not just about what you receive, it's about what you give. When you live in a state of giving, when you show up in the world looking for ways to contribute, to help, to serve, you create a level of fulfillment that no amount of money or success can ever replace. And that brings us to one of the most important principles in life. Proximity is power. Who you surround yourself with is who you become. If you spend time with people who are weak, who are negative, who complain, who make excuses, then it doesn't matter how strong you think you are, you will become like them. Because the environment you immerse yourself in will always shape your standards, your mindset, and your potential. Look at the most successful people in any field. They didn't get there alone. They put themselves in environments where they were constantly challenged to grow, to push further, to expect more from themselves. They surrounded themselves with winners, with people who demanded excellence, who pushed them beyond their limits. And because of that, they became better, stronger, more powerful. Most people stay stuck because they refused to change their circle. They hold on to relationships that keep them small. They stay around people who reinforce their old identity, their old limitations, their old excuses. And they wonder why they can't break through. But the truth is, you cannot grow into the person you're meant to be while holding on to people who are keeping you in the past. If you want to reach the next level, you have to be willing to let go. This doesn't mean you stop caring about the people in your life. It means you make a decision about the standards you're willing to accept. If you want to be extraordinary, if you want to be powerful, you cannot spend time with people who give their power away. You need to seek out those who challenge you, who inspire you, who demand the best from you. Because when you surround yourself with excellence, you have no choice but to rise. This is the truth about success. It's not just about working harder. It's about creating an environment that forces you to grow. If you are in a room where you are the smartest, the strongest, the most successful, you are in the wrong room. You need to put yourself in situations where you are the least experienced, where you are the one struggling to keep up, because that is what will make you better. The people you spend the most time with are shaping your beliefs, your habits, your future. If you are surrounded by people who talk about ideas, who take massive action, who hold themselves to the highest standards, then that energy will become your new normal. But if you are surrounded by people who complain, who blame, who accept average, then that is what you will become, whether you realize it or not. You have to ask yourself, who do I spend my time with? What are their habits? What are their beliefs? But what are their expectations for themselves? And most importantly, are they making me better or are they keeping me the same? Because if you want to create a life of power, of success, of impact, then you must be ruthless about who you let into your space. You must surround yourself with people who make you stronger, who push you to new levels, who inspire you to become the best version of yourself.